Hello and welcome to the Industry Review video instructions. My name is Nicole Boyd and I'm the Development Manager at ISCA and leading the development of iOS version 2.0. This video will take you through the high-level changes to iOS v2.0, processes involved in developing a new or updating an existing category, the industry review process, and then I'll hand over to our consultant who developed the category to run you through that category in more detail. For the people who are not familiar with the iOS rating scheme, I'll give you a brief introduction to it. The iOS rating scheme rates the sustainability of infrastructure projects and assets. We have two rating types, the design and as-built rating, which has an interim verification step at the end of design, and the operations rating for operating assets. As part of the development of version 2, we are also investigating the feasibility of a planning-focused rating. The current rating scheme, version 1.2, has 6 themes, 15 categories, and 44 credits. Version 2 involves a full review of the themes, categories, and credits. We'll have a new structure with 4 themes, 17 categories, and about 42 credits. This structure has not been finalised and may change slightly as the credits are being developed. A rating is rated out of 100 points based on the achievement across the credits. There are also additional 10 bonus points allocated to innovation. Ratings that receive between 25 and 49 points are awarded a commended rating. Ratings that receive between 50 and 74 points are awarded an excellent rating, and ratings that receive between 75 and 100 points are awarded a leading rating. The award names and scores may change for version 2. Each credit has up to 3 levels of achievement, and the rating operates beyond business as usual and compliance. Third-party verifiers are employed by ISCA to verify which level has been achieved for each credit based on the evidence provided by the project or asset. A weighting assessment is undertaken at the start of a rating to adjust default point allocations of each credit so that more points are allocated to the areas of biggest risk or opportunity for that project specifically. This is done through a questionnaire at the kick-off workshop in collaboration with the project team and then verified by our third-party verifiers. Each credit is laid out like this. The aim outlines the intent of the credit and the criteria is summarised in the criteria summary table. The technical manual includes extensive guidance for each criterion and includes must statements which are mandatory requirements to achieve the criterion. There are up to 3 levels for each credit, and the allocated points are divided by the number of levels. For example, if this credit was allocated 6 points, then 2 points would be achieved if all the requirements for level 1 are met, 4 points if all the requirements for level 1 and 2 are met, and the full 6 points if all of the requirements for level 1, 2 and 3 are met. Version 2 will have separate credits written for each phase of the infrastructure lifecycle. This means for each credit, there will be a separate credit written for the planning phase, the design phase, the as-built phase, and the operation phase. This approach is different to the approach taken in version 1.2, which has a credit for the design and as-built phase together and another credit for the operation phase. Some credits will not be relevant to all phases, so the category may look something like this. This is an example from the economic theme category showing that there are 6 credits, but not all credits are relevant to all phases. ECN 1 and ECN 4, however, are relevant to all phases. The definition of each lifecycle phase are as follows. The planning phase is from initiation to detailed design. The design phase is from detailed design to 100% design. The as-built phase is the construction phase, and the operation phase is the operating asset phase. The rating scheme takes a whole-of-life approach, meaning that each phase considers the whole-of-life impacts. For example, in design, when energy consumption is being modelled, it's being modelled for the construction and operation phases of the asset. Version 2 represents a major update of the iOS rating scheme, and it's being developed for the industry by the industry. The development costs have been funded by the industry, and today we've had 9 organisations contribute financially to the development of version 2. In addition to the financial support, the industry has also contributed in-kind support and to date there have been 143 individuals contributing over 1,000 hours representing 84 organisations. These individuals have contributed mostly through category advisory groups and through industry peer review, as you're doing now. The development of IS version 2.0 is guided by the design intent and the 9 design principles. I'll give you a moment to read through them. Version 2 will align more closely with global sustainability frameworks. We mapped version 1 of the IS rating scheme against the GRI, Sustainable Development Goals, and the UN Global Compact to identify gaps. We identified gaps in the social and economic areas such as human rights and supply chain, and considering environmental and social considerations in decision making. The social and economic themes, as well as other new and updated categories that we are developing as part of version 2, will help align IS more closely with global sustainability frameworks and cover the sustainability issues that are of international significance. Version 2 is being developed in alignment with the requirements of the ISIL Alliance Codes of Good Practice. This means we are meeting the highest global standard for certification schemes. When a new category is being developed or an existing category is being updated, we follow a process. That process involves identifying a need, then creating an industry advisory group to establish a structure for the new category. Once the category structure is agreed on by the advisory group, the category is developed either in-house or engage a subject matter expert. Once the category has been drafted in full, we release it to the industry for their feedback, which is where we are up to now for this category. The industry review is open for a minimum of 30 days and feedback is collated, and then the category is updated based on that feedback. It then goes to our internal board committee to be improved. If required, the category is piloted and then it's released as part of version 2. Training material is also developed and we have a number of masterclasses available for new and updated categories. To contribute as part of the industry review process, go to the industry review webpage to download the category. A link has been provided in the comment section of this video. Read the category in full or focus on just the phases that you are interested in. Then complete the survey provided on the webpage. If you'd prefer, you may also download the Word version of the category and make track changes or comments. If you choose this approach, please email the edited Word version to Angus Blackmore. His email address is on the screen. The industry review is open for a minimum of 30 days. Once the review process closes, all comments are collated and we'll update the category based on your comments. If you would like more information, please get in touch. My contact details are on the screen.
This presentation provides an overview of the stakeholder engagement category development process for version 2 of the IS tool. My name is Julianne Braithwaite, a principal consultant at Jacobs. The stakeholder engagement category structure was developed by the Stakeholder Participation Advisory Group over 12 months. ISCA then released the category for development and Jacobs was engaged to develop the category. One of the first tasks in the development process involved undertaking 15 interviews with industry experts in Australia and New Zealand. Information was collected on the key principles and outcomes of good stakeholder engagement. The interviews helped us to get an understanding of how the industry is performing so that the category was developed to promote better sustainability outcomes, but was also realistic and achievable. Once the interviews were completed, we developed the category for ISCA's review. Our expert peer reviewer then reviewed it to make minor edits. It is now ready for the industry to provide their feedback. Once ISCA receives the industry feedback, the category will be updated and released as part of IS version 2. The current version of the IS tool, version 1.2, has 4 credits for stakeholder participation. Star 1 outlines the process to develop an engagement strategy. Star 2 uses the IAP2 spectrum to differentiate Level 1 to 3 performance. For example, Level 3 performance requires collaboration as shown on the IAP2 spectrum. Star 3 rewards good communication, and Star 4 assesses the extent to which community concerns have been considered and addressed. During the interviews, we asked people for their views on the strengths and weaknesses of these existing credits. Some of the strengths of the existing credits mentioned by people were around the way they support improved and better quality stakeholder engagement in infrastructure projects. Providing consistency around engagement approaches was also seen as a strength. In some cases, there were different views from the people we interviewed. For example, some felt that Star 3 and Star 4 were useful and relevant, where others felt that they were hard to achieve and provide evidence for. In these cases, we referred back to the thoughts and direction provided by the advisory group. There was little support for seeking input on the stakeholder engagement strategy or plan. While it might be useful in theory, it was generally considered to be something that would not be realistic in practice. The concept of consultation fatigue was raised in this context, with a preference that valuable resources be used to engage on the project itself rather than on the approach to engagement. People were also asked their views on what successful stakeholder engagement looks like. Some of them were around having clear purpose and objectives, doing what you say you will, and giving stakeholders the opportunity to be heard, be informed, and have opportunities to engage. The benefits of good engagement all largely revolved around managing risks, whether they be risks to reputation, schedule, budget, and so on. In terms of the principles of good engagement, there shouldn't be any surprises here. Some of these are business as usual and should be expected in any engagement, such as open, honest, timely, accurate, and respectful. Others are a little more of a stretch and have been used as the basis for developing the new credits and level of performance. I will talk about this more later. In addition to feedback from the interviews, the other key consideration in developing version 2 was the input and direction provided by the advisory group. One of the early decisions of the group was to change the name of the category from stakeholder participation to stakeholder engagement. The need to better integrate stakeholder engagement into the broader project was also a key theme of discussion, as was the need for research to inform engagement planning through both social profiling and social risk assessment. IAP2 was seen by most people in the interviews and on the advisory group as an important framework, but not necessarily the only framework. A range of other frameworks and guidance were investigated by the advisory group, and the results of this exercise have been incorporated where relevant. Similarly, there was limited support to retain the use of the IAP2 spectrum as a way of measuring performance. For example, the appropriate level of engagement, consult, involve, collaborate, or empower, will be different for all projects depending on their particular circumstances. What is more important is the extent to which stakeholder engagement achieves the desired outcomes and incorporates the principles of good engagement. There was also a general feeling that version 1.2 puts a lot of focus on how to do stakeholder engagement. Most felt that version 2 should focus more on the outcomes as well as the extent to which the principles of good engagement are incorporated into a stakeholder engagement strategy and its implementation. There were two reasons for this. Firstly, decisions on how stakeholder engagement should be planned and executed should be a matter for project proponents and teams. They may choose to use existing frameworks such as IAP2 or may have their own tools and approaches. Secondly, every infrastructure project is different. Each project has different challenges and opportunities as well as different stakeholders with different interests. Therefore, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to engaging stakeholders. Each interaction needs to be tailored. What came across consistently in all of the discussions are that there are generally three broad outcomes for engagement. Put simply, stakeholders should be able to get information about projects which may affect them, have the opportunity to provide input in some way, and have their input listened to and used in decision making. Based on all of the information collected, an approach for the development of version 2 was confirmed. We have largely adopted the credits proposed by the advisory group with some modifications. The credits and level of performance have been developed with a clear focus on the outcomes we seek to achieve in stakeholder engagement, as well as the extent to which some of the key principles in good engagement are incorporated. 5 key principles were selected to define the levels of performance, and these are listed here. They are based on the principles discussed by the advisory group and in the interviews, and they are clarity of purpose, integrated, inclusive, credible, and continuous improvement. The credits and level of performance are generally the same across all project phases. However, the guidance and examples are tailored for each project phase. The first stakeholder engagement credit developed for version 2 is Star 1, which involves developing a stakeholder engagement strategy. It rewards a strategy which is well considered and strategic. By this we mean that it incorporates the principles of good engagement and considers the overall aims and interests of the engagement program and how it will be achieved. The key principles used to guide the levels of performance in this credit are clarity of purpose, continuous improvement, inclusive, and integrated. By clarity of purpose, we mean that the goals and objectives of engagement are clear from the outset, including which parts of the project are negotiable and can be influenced by stakeholder input, and which parts are non-negotiable. The principle of continuous improvement seeks to ensure that any lessons learned from similar projects or on previous phases of the same project have been incorporated into the engagement strategy for the current phase of the project. By inclusive, we mean have all of the stakeholders who may have an interest in or be affected by the project been identified and have the opportunity to engage. This can be achieved in level 2 by doing some research on the local context, understanding the social risks, and planning targeted activities for different stakeholders. Lastly, level 3 rewards a strategy which is integrated into all aspects of a project. For example, stakeholder engagement risks are considered and included on the project risk register. Engagement activities are in the project schedule, and stakeholder engagement procedures and principles are included in induction and training materials. This is in recognition of the idea that, while stakeholder engagement professionals and specialists need to take the lead on developing and implementing the stakeholder engagement strategy, the responsibilities for good engagement outcomes are broader within a project team. The second credit is Star 2, which focuses on implementation of the strategy developed in Star 1. To achieve any points in this credit, level 1 of Star 1 needs to be achieved at a minimum. This credit rewards implementation of the strategy as well as use of stakeholder input. The key principles used to guide the levels of performance in this credit are credible and continuous improvement. Credibility is measured based on the extent to which stakeholder input is used to guide decisions. For level 1, stakeholder input is just considered, while for levels 2 and 3, stakeholder input influences more than one or the majority of the project negotiables defined in Star 1. Continuous improvement in this credit encourages implementation progress to be reviewed and used to update the strategy, as well as documentation of lessons learnt so that they may be shared and incorporated into future engagement planning for the same or similar projects. This concludes the overview of the development of the stakeholder engagement category for version 2 of the IS tool. Thank you for listening.